Really.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. We will get started in just a minute or two. Just going to let a few more people seep in. Allison, let me know when the waiting room has been empty.
She has like the ability to, like if she had a friend or family member to get in and out.
Tim, whenever you want to get started, I'll just let people in as they filter in.
Sounds great. Well, we have a lot of questions and we don't need to get through them all, but we might as well be respectful of everyone's time. So thank you all for attending our second Partnering for a Purpose conference. This conference is on collaboration. So as any of you who have, probably all of you who are unfortunate enough to have your email in my hands, this is something we talk about at United Way all the time, trying to figure out ways to help partners better collaborate, organize collaboration, or, see what roadblocks there are that we can bring down. And for this session, we thought it would be important to have partners that we see doing a lot of different collaborations. So with different agencies, organizations, and we also took it as a bit to flaunt some of our own team members who we think do a lot of collaborative work themselves. So April and Tanisha from here, and Christine Battisti is from Crime Victims Assistance Center. So we're going to go in, and this will be set up as a panel where we will be asking questions throughout the course of this session. Anyone can feel free to interject. If you have a question, just jump in, put it in chat. We'll be monitoring that. So please feel free to interact as you feel like you need to. Just before we go in, Christine, would you like to just say where you're from, what CVAC does, and, what is its mission? Or not what is its mission? How do you collaborate?
Yeah, thank you. I'm Christine Battisti. I'm the Executive Director for Crime Victims Assistance Center. I've been with the agency for around 20 years. We help all innocent victims of crime. Our services are free and confidential, so we have a few programs where we collaborate with law enforcement, child protective services, medical staff, where we interview children on site when there's allegations of sexual abuse. We also respond to sexual assault victims, so we collaborate with all 3 hospitals in Broome County. We also partner with both Binghamton University and SUNY Broome with students that might need our services. We offer free counseling, and we have a whole education outreach department. So we also partner with all of our schools, going in and doing, prevention work in the schools. And I'm trying to think of who else. So yeah, we have a lot of collaboration. We also work with the district attorney's office. We have a whole legal advocacy team there. So we collaborate with both the DA's office and family court.
All right. Thank you, Christine. Tanisha, what do you do at United Way? What is the HLC mission? And how do you collaborate with other agencies?
Hi, I'm Tanisha. As Tim said, currently, I'm the Program and Engagement Coordinator at Leewater Community Center. On the 25th, I will start my promotion as the Health Initiatives Manager here. So that's pretty exciting. Thanks. We here at Leewater Healthy Lifestyles Coalition, we collaborate with the community to empower the neighborhood residents to have more of a healthy lifestyle and achieve positive health outcomes. We work with the local elementary school, Theodore Roosevelt, Cornell Cooperative Extension, Guthrie Lords ACES, just to name a few that we partner with. And we do a variety of family activities, family paint night, family game night, We have a mental health series that we work with Lord's ACEs with. This month is holiday stress. Last month was seasonal depression. We also work with the STACK project and do financial literacy here. Yeah, we tend to touch a variety of areas for the folks here. And we also offer a pantry every Wednesday, and we have a bike shop.
Thank you so much, Tanisha, and congratulations.
Thank you.
And then I'll speak a bit for April. And April, feel free to interject if I'm misspeaking. Just to let you all know, in the year and a half I think I've known April, she has always had a very clear, concise voice. The voice has left her today. So just to save that, April is our director of 211, who before being with us was managing a multi-dozen person team, and then also was with us before that. As part of 211's mission, they act as a collective resource for community resources, and if any community member wants to know about resources that are non-emergency that is being offered, they can call 211. And collaboration, they work with Food Bank of the Southern Tier. They were mobilized in 15 minutes by the Broome County, by the county executive office during the COVID pandemic. They work with Catholic Charities and a wide range of organizations. And right now we're working to finalize things with the 1115 waiver and the Care Compass Network. April, is there anything you think I missed?
No, thank you, Tim. I think if 211 had a mission statement, we'd be connecting individuals and families with health and human services, government programs, the best meet their individual needs at that time. We pride ourselves on being free and confidential, and we meet folks where they are. So that is how we operate. In addition to the organizations Tim mentioned, we've been working with child for decades, doing child referrals. We work with a Bandera Family Christmas to set up Christmas Day meal deliveries. We work with the New York State Office of Mental Health on a reentry program. We, as Tim mentioned, get activated during times of disaster by our county emergency managers. But mainly we find ourselves collaborating with other nonprofits.
Thank you so much, April. So now we're gonna go into the questions for our panelists. And again, if you have a question, feel free to put it in chat, which we're monitoring, or just unmute yourself. So our first question for Christine, Tanisha, and April. What are the differences between cooperation, coordination, and collaboration? And what practices help move your relationship from, say, cooperation to coordination, or coordination to collaboration? And there's no correct answering order, so.
I can give kind of an example of what we went through. So a good example of this would be probably around 5 or 6 years ago, we were really trying to partner with the university to get access to students and be able to engage with them, because we know that there's victims on campus and they need our resources. And Binghamton University is powerful. It's got a lot of like policy and bureaucracy that doesn't happen so much in a smaller nonprofit. So in the beginning, I feel like we were cooperating because we both saw the need, but there was a lot of disconnect. I can remember a time where like we might not be able to get access to information, or we would attend a meeting with them and we were kind of there, but you know, you just didn't feel that true collaboration. Like we both know it was good, but it wasn't where it needed to be. And after like probably 3 or 4 years of like nurturing that relationship and not giving up and getting some state funding, that always helps, right, when you have money to back a project. But we were able to like build a relationship with Binghamton University where they trusted us to come there. And just I think last year we have the VARC Center there where now we actually have office hours on campus with our own space right in with the Binghamton University staff. And it's not a duplication of services because they have some of their counseling, staff there, but then we have our space so that students know they have a confidential resource outside of the university. So I would say that's like a really good example of how you start like with the cooperation and you have some shared goals, but you don't have that trust yet built or that relationship where it's full. So, and that's like a really good example because I'm showing you like a small nonprofit with a Binghamton University, which is, huge. But we were able to do that. It took about, I want to say 2 years to get a formal MOU with a university like that, but we finally got it and we have office space there now. So I would say that's a good example of like starting and like the timeline, right? Like in our minds, I don't know where everyone's here is from, but like I'm really fast and I want things done. Sometimes we just have to be mindful that, systems can't work as fastly as we can, and they have to go through a lot more and it takes time. And really, I would say, the relationship and building the relationship so that people know what you're trying to do and they can build trust.
Hey, Christine.
And I would add to what Christine is saying, going from cooperation where we might have an agreement or, a written word that says, hey, you're really good at this. You're already talking to those people, collect this piece of data, to collaborative by definition, shared ownership. So I think especially in the nonprofit world, we are all working with folks that may be in crisis, on the verge of crisis, in a particular situation that they've never experienced before. And we're all interested in the same type of successful outcome. So I think what we found in 211 is, for decades, we did child referrals. We did it a certain way that never changed. I think communication was key for us to move the cooperation of we'll do the intake, you do the assignments and manage the pantries and get folks closest to their home, to understanding why we're collecting the data, what we're collecting, and then, moving to a more collaborative approach, where we're sharing the ownership of these folks that need the food at that point of time. So, I think, it's about relationship and communication.
I agree with April and Christine. One of the things that I thought about was when we tried to do after school program here at the center and the kids just weren't coming. And we were working with CCE, Cornell Cooperative Extension, and we had activities planned, just wasn't popular. So we went to Theodore Roosevelt Elementary School, talked to the principal, and he said that we could come in and do the after school program in the school. So now we go twice a week, Mondays and Tuesdays, and we have up to 20 kids per session in our after school program, and just tweaking the model and collaborating with the school and building that trust. Now we have a successful after school program that we do healthy cooking class with 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. And it's a hit. We have a waiting list every quarter. So just, modifying, our vision, and actually reaching out to the school where the kids are, now we have a successful program.
Thank you all so much. And I'm going to do some jumping around in the questions I sent you here because I think it just leans into this one. you mentioned trust, relationship building, modifying, sort of what the understanding was going in, so you're able to better serve your clients. So I think we already started to hear this, but what is an important part of some of your strongest collaborative relationships? What has been an important part of making them so strong?
I would say transparency and open communication, and just being forthcoming as to what our mission is, and just being mindful that we're here for the community.
I'll speak. I think for us, it would be probably with law enforcement. As you can imagine, not everybody might not have a good experience with law enforcement, but in order for us to best serve our clients here, CVAC has to have good relationships with law enforcement because so many of our clients are dealing with law enforcement, dealing with the criminal justice system. So there are 7 different law enforcement agencies, so we have to be really mindful of what their role is. And just like you go to a doctor, you might not get somebody that does it the right way, and we can't make assumptions and then label, like, if there's one bad encounter. So we really had to be able to be transparent and address conflict. I think the worst thing that can happen is when and I've seen it even happen here at our agency, people make assumptions when they don't have facts, and it kind of spreads like wildfire. So I feel like when there are issues, the important thing to do is to find a framework or a way, chain of command. Who are your liaisons at those places? Who do you have a relationship with? And then kind of talking that out. And so what I see now today is so many people shying away from conflict or something that might not have gone the right way, and then just kind of, maybe not reaching out. So I think it's so important to address those things in a positive way, because you can really build your partnership with somebody, and you build trust that way too.
Yeah, I have to agree with Christine 100%. I think communication, because we're all in a position to be helpers. We're looking at bettering our community in one way or the other, but we also are human, and we come with those preconceived thoughts of other people, organizations, whatever the past history has been. So I think it's very important to show up whenever you can. Keep those lines of communication open with all organizations that you're attempting to collaborate with at every level. As I just found out this week, we cover not just Broome County, we cover 5 counties here in upstate New York. And in another county, there was a preconceived notion that during a previous contract for coordinated entry for folks that are at risk homeless, that 211 hadn't been doing their job. And the fact of the matter was that it was never our position to do what everybody thought we should be doing. So we had this disconnect with the communication, and just to sit in the same space and find out and talk that through, has been done wonders for our, well, right now, cooperation with these organizations. Hopefully it will turn to collaboration. The other thing I would say that's been pretty important for us to grow our collaborative relationships has been investment of innovations, new technologies, new ways to use them. That has helped us immensely, for especially other organizations that their specialty is not talking on the phone to hundreds of people every day. That has moved the needle for us from some cooperation to collaborative relationships.
All right. Thank you all so much. And I think, it's very clear that collaboration requires maybe a change of mindset and very intentional work. But moving past the work that you have to have good collaboration? We've already heard it a little bit, but how does collaboration allow your organizations to be more effective or efficient?
Tim, for us at 211, it's opened up our service and the knowledge that we exist for folks that may never have traditionally used our service or known about us, by partnering with the Food Bank of the Southern Tier, doing registrations for Broome County mobile food pantries. It gives us an opportunity to speak to people that haven't used our service before, let them know about the things that we could try to help with, and different programs that are available to them to meet their needs. So it's been pretty critical for us.
I could give an example. So like by having, a strong partnership with law enforcement over the years because of one of our programs with the children coming in for the sexual abuse interviews, we've really developed a good relationship with law enforcement. So because of that, the benefit is we get to enhance our services. So we are, now that we've built that foundation, when the opportunity presents, we can even expand. So this past year, we were able to launch a pilot program with the sheriff's department, and when an officer's on the scene and they screen in a victim that's high risk of being killed, they are calling us right on the scene, and we're able to connect with that victim right over the phone, where for the last 20 years that I've worked here, we would maybe never even talk to that victim, or maybe they would give them a brochure, and that we were doing the best that we could, right? That's what it was. But because we were able to work together and have trust, they were like, okay, we can do this, we can work with the advocates. And now not only is that pilot program that we've done this year working, and we're enhancing our services, we're able to meet victims more frequently, make connections. We're in a position now where there's some state funding and we're gonna go county-wide with it. And so like the district attorney's office is gonna be involved in probation and all of the law enforcement, and maybe emergency management system, and fielding those calls. So the whole community, I mean, you talk about like systematic changes of the way we're responding to domestic violence, all when it all starts from having that, that good relationship, and it just unleashes all these opportunities that you can have because of that.
I agree. Definitely the relationship building and the ability to reach different folks and clientele, stems from collaborating with these different agencies. And like one of our biggest success stories would be our after school program. And meeting and working with those children, they trust me, they see me, they know I'm from the center, they come to other events, our trunk or treat, our paint nights. So it helps bridge the gap.
All right, thank you all so much. And I really appreciate all this positive energy around collaboration, because it's always that thing that everyone talks about doing, and then sometimes it can be a struggle to actually achieve. So with that idea, what practices or things can happen that actually harm collaborative relationships? And it's okay if we take a little bit of time to think on this, because we've been in a very positive headspace.
Well, I haven't had negative experience with collaborating, but I would say if there was like competition or jealousy or something to that effect, and instead of, everyone working towards the same mission, if someone's trying to outshine or do their own thing when we're supposed to work together as partners, I think that would hinder it but thankfully I haven't experienced that.
I would agree, like, we're, especially as a smaller nonprofit, a lot of us are going for the same funding, so that can bring on that competitive mindset. So I think that that is gonna exist, and sometimes you can't get around it because we're all trying to survive, right? But I think it's about having those conversations to get us out of that and say, all right, we're applying for the same funding, but like, let's start having conversations about how we might be able to share some of our expenses. Like, maybe we can share a janitor, maybe we can share our IT costs, maybe we can, like, turning it into not that competition, because I agree with Tanisha that that does kind of happen sometimes when you, especially with organizations where you're doing similar work. I think also for me personally, like, we're here, you know, it's hard when you see things that, to stay positive when you see systems that are broken and that you have no control over, right? We do our best to try to identify gaps or where we see things, and maybe the other party or entity just doesn't have that on their forefront, right? And they have bigger fish to fry, so they're like off on this land, and it can feel frustrating when, especially if you're passionate about something, and you can't seem to make inroads. um, I would just say, like, keep at it. And as we stay in this community, there's different people, and sometimes positions change and people change. So don't just have that mindset that, like, oh, we didn't partner with that one agency for 10 years, so that's it. Like, you know what, let's give it a shot again. Let's invite them to the table. Let's have conversations. But I would say the competition does, kind of put that out there, especially when you're small, nonprofit.
I really resonate with, the conversations. I do quite a bit of grant writing and sometimes shared grant writing between agencies. And I feel as if that work is 80% talking with people and 20% actual writing. So moving on, we're going to switch gears, go back in the positive direction. Have you ever had a not so great collaboration turn into a very great collaboration? And did you learn any lessons? I think we've already sort of touched on this, but just to go back and focus.
So for us, I think, again, because we've had some of these relationships for a long time, it's gone through a plethora of people. People come and go, things change. And, we found that we're doing things because it worked at the beginning and never had another discussion about the importance of what we're doing and why we're doing things. So that kind of breakdown of communication. So we had an experience where it was exactly that. We've been doing something the same way. Data was getting misinterpreted. There's no discussion about it. And when it came time for the program to launch, it was affecting thousands of families. It very quickly went downhill because there had been no discussion about, the data and how to interpret it and the way it was presented. So I think what we learned was, let's go back to the table. Let's figure out why we're doing what we're doing. If there's better ways to do it, for in this case, the client, the other nonprofit. And I think that we made huge strides in the efficiency of how that program was run, and learned a lot of lessons. So, again, it goes back to asking the questions, being open, honest, and communicating.
I have to go back to working with CCE and just how successful the program has been this last year. with working with Roosevelt. My first year, CCE would come and we just didn't have attendance. And now working in the schools, we're able to teach the kids knife skills, healthy eating habits, making healthy snacks. We have kids that have never tasted fresh broccoli before or had a fresh pepper. We always have fresh produce on hand and we show them how to cut it, how to prepare it. It's exciting. I mean, my first year, we couldn't get a kid to come in the center. And now, like I said, we have a waiting list and they get so excited. What are we cooking today? What are we eating today? And they're not so scared of trying new things now, and they want to take the recipes home to their families. They want to try cooking these easy dishes. And it's just so rewarding. And then they recognize you in the community. They're like, "Hi, Miss Tanisha, what are we cooking? Are you doing cooking class this week?" And it's really cool. It's fun.
Tanisha, if I can just do a bit of a deeper dive. I mean,
Sure.
you realized that the cooking class at the center, we weren't getting attendance, and there was an issue there. How did you broach that conversation about, what if we try something else? What if we move? What if we change our understanding of how this program will operate?
Well, Ann and I just talked about it, and we know that we wanted to reach the kids. And it's like, where are the kids? They're in the school, so let's go talk to Mr. Chosen, the principal of Roosevelt. Let's pitch our idea and see if, it started out as like a little pilot program, see if we'd have interest. And the first class, we had 15 kids sign up. So then we only had one day at first, and now we went to 2 days just because we have the waiting list. And we started out with only one grade. Now we do 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. So it's growing and the kids really enjoy it. And I've seen 5th graders now that were 4th graders last year, and they came back, and they're like, "We want to cook again this year with you." It's so exciting. At first I was a little nervous because I'm like, kids with knives, it's like, how is this gonna look? What's the liability? But Anne is great with the kids, and I have to go into mom mode sometimes, because they do have knives, and I have to say, "Okay, listen up, friends." Put the knife down. But overall they do very well.
Thank you. And what I'm hearing from you all is just, the importance of just a shared, mission, a shared mindset, and a shared openness to explore new things. So we've been talking about collaborating with law enforcement, with other nonprofits, with public schools. Have you noticed a difference in collaborating between nonprofit, for-profit, or public sectors, the agencies within? And is there any, are there different ways you might structure those relationships, or is it all the same?
Well, I'd have to say, I think I already touched on this. When you're collaborating with like another nonprofit, it seems way simpler. So you can just get together with the heads of the, ED, and you talk about what you want to do, and you can you have that power or that authority kind of within your organization with, obviously running it by your board to make decisions that can impact like very quickly. So I think when you're like working like with a university or other bigger agencies, state agencies, it's just, you have to have a lot more patience and there's a lot more people involved. So I think as a nonprofit, we have to be mindful of that. They work a lot slower. The government works a lot slower. That's just my experience from my interactions.
Thank you, Christine. And Tanisha and April, you can feel free to reply, but that also goes really well with a question that Tara Terry has left in chat. Tara, do you want to ask it or do you want me to read it?
Yeah, I'll just kind of summarize. So my question was about getting in the door with these larger entities that you guys are working with. And we're so passionate about the work that we do, right? We're meeting with the people, we're seeing their faces, we're hearing their stories. And I know, BU, the schools, they have so much on their plates. And I know they're probably so overloaded. But we see, as the nonprofit directors, we see like, man, if we could just partner together, we could help each other. So for those of you who have collaborated with these larger entities, how did you get in the door and make them care about what it is that you're so passionate about, so that that cooperation could start to move towards collaboration?
For us, I think for me, it's a lot of like networking too outside of just Broome County. So it's also like the supporting coalitions, not just from crime victims standpoint. I'm involved in a lot of, at first you just look at Broome County, but there's a whole network of people doing what we're doing across New York State and across the country. So, I would urge people to find the coalitions that govern your nonprofit and get into those meetings, because there's people that are doing things, and why reinvent the wheel? And they have, you wouldn't believe the connections people have. I was working with an organization on telesafe, just separately, and that's where we can have a virtual SANE nurse go in and into the hospitals. And right now there's a lack of safe examiners in our hospitals, so sexual assault victims aren't getting the care that they need. And it's like, because I was on the state meeting, I was able to go to our ERs and like have a meeting with them to say, here's a solution that doesn't give you like exactly what I want or what you want, is to have more safe nurses, but it's going to up the care that you're giving, and it's going to give an opportunity to train. So like just that connection from that meeting that I was on, I was able to bring it here locally, which I would have never known about if I just stayed in Broome County and talked to the hospitals and got frustrated, keep saying, okay, there's no safe examiners. What are we going to do? We don't have money. It's like going outside of your network and building those relationships. And I would say also with our elected officials, I know that politics sometimes people don't want to get involved, but listen, no matter what your party is, you need to be involved with your elected officials at the county level, legislators, our county executive, all the way up to the senator. I can't tell you the number of times my connections with that has helped me to say, hey, I need funding for this. Is there any grants coming up? What you can do? And then you just build your network. And you have to get out of your own way. And we can't just be selfishly looking about our organization all the time, and having fundraising and events. And we need to give back, and we need to go to their functions, and we need to go to other people's functions. I feel like that's really, really important, I think, to be successful. You're not going to get very far if you stay in your own lane.
Yeah, I have to.
I don't know if that answers it, but sorry, I'm a talker.
100% agree with what Christine just said. Any state level organizations that you can belong to. And then the value of any of the elected officials, just knowing who you are and what you do, brings a lot of opportunities. There are some local, not specific, but organizational meetings that happen. One is happening right now, believe it or not. NYSEG hosts it, but they get 30 to 50 nonprofit agencies in the room every other month to tell about their programs. And that has, for us, worked into, some cooperation, if not collaboration yet, but just, it's a lot of legwork, but just getting out there and people knowing what you do and who you are is very helpful.
Yes, networking and tabling. That's something that we do quite a bit, is tabling at different events. and other agencies' functions. And I also attend the monthly Northside Assembly meeting here in Binghamton. So we hear the voices of the community, see what's going on in the neighborhood, and we also get to share what we're doing in the community and what the center is offering folks. So that helps as well.
Thank you all. So we've sort of already touched on this. However, I think we can look at it in a bit of a new light. So the question was, what are the first steps you take when exploring a new collaborative relationship? And we've talked a lot about just, getting to know each other, being transparent, being honest, getting that mission aligned. For those relationships you have where, they're contracted agreements of you will do X, they'll do Y, what are the first steps, the more technical sides of this all? Sorry, I threw you all a curveball. This was not one
No,
that.
that's okay. Can you repeat? I need you to repeat the question.
So, we've talked a lot about like the interpersonal aspects of collaboration and getting on the same mission and vision. What are the more technical sides to collaboration? So, just, scheduling meetings or creating an MOU or just getting alignment from their board and your board. What are those steps that are, sort of help cement those interpersonal relationships that you build? I think the question makes sense, but feel free to let me know if it's not.
I don't know why I'm struggling with this one. Are you trying to ask like how they would establish them, like what steps they would get to get there?
Yeah, I think so. Sort of, what are the most important steps in, sort of in cementing these relationships that still need to be reevaluated and checked in on, as April, you brought up, is, what was working won't always work. But, in those original relationships where, what are the first steps of moving them from just a conversation to an organization, a multi-organizational wide understanding and agreement?
That's a hard one.
So I'm seeing from April that April is stressing memorandums of understanding or MOUs as critical, and understanding the approval process of different parties. So do they need board approval? Do they need legal approval? Do they need executive director approval? So not just, this is what we're going to do, but how long is it going to take and who actually has that final say? Did I hit that correct, Nick? Okay, perfect. And Tara also has a question about how to get the different board members from different agencies working together. It's really easy on a staff level to work with other staff, but when we go to these higher levels, how has that been done?
I know that for us, we've had our board members reach out to other similar organizations, and that can feel less threatening for maybe somebody in a leadership role, just to try to go to a board of another agency to try to have the board start communicating on ways to collaborate, and that's kind of been helpful.
And in my current role, I don't really do that. But in my new role, I feel like I'm gonna have more opportunities to have more of a say. The current relationships and collaborations that we have are actually people that I've worked with before, or I know them in other ways. For example, Master Fairbanks from Fairbanks Karate. I've known her for over 20 years. She knows that I work at a community center. She came the last 2 years and did Kicking It at Lee Water where we do our sneaker giveaway and they do a karate demonstration. So that was a partnership that came out from a personal relationship that I had. And they were offering once a month free karate classes here at the center. So that was pretty cool. But in terms of contracts and stuff, that's not something that I personally do at the moment. But I see it coming in the near future.
I feel like also it's important to understand the structure of what you're where you're trying to go into, like for like law enforcement, for an example, instead of me trying to, and I didn't know this before, but you know, after working here for a while, I'm trying to get in front of every law enforcement agency, right? And that could be exhausting trying to get meetings and track down, but lo and behold, the chiefs all meet at a chiefs meeting. So figuring that out and then being able to say, hey, would I be able to come in and talk to you about an upcoming thing that might impact your department or what I'm working on? So it's like figuring out the structures and where you're trying to go to, because that can present opportunities that are time saving, and then you're speaking to a whole audience. So all of our worlds have these structures. We just have to figure out what, you know, who is running them and where to go. But like, you know, Tara, I could even say like for you, starting at the bridge, what a great opportunity. I knew Tara a little bit. I knew what she was doing at the bridge. Here I am in the nonprofit world. I serve on the Youth Bureau board. I'm a United Way partner. And so then I invite Tara, like, hey, come check out the Youth Bureau. And now Tara's on the Youth Bureau. So like I feel like use the people that are kind of in your field that maybe have some more experience to kind of, you know, bring you in and show you those opportunities.
Thank you. And I see we have a not a question, but George, you have an idea. Would you like to chime in, or do you want?
Well, I don't have, I mean, I'll always chime in, but it's not always welcome. No, I was just thinking, and I think Tanisha might have hit on this earlier, but I really wanted to emphasize even before MOUs and contracts, and I know this is the second go round of this question kind of thing, but it's like, I don't think we often think enough about what we want as an organization before we try and work with other people, like what will make us happy, what will make us sort of, you know, what will make the partnership work. And then we can be more open and honest when we talk to the other people. But if we can't figure it out ourselves, then there's bound to be issues that rise.
Thank you, George. Yeah, I think it was it was a little bit of a restatement, but I think it's a good dimension, and I appreciate you bringing that up. This is the end of the questions that I had. Does anyone else have any questions? Tanisha, April, Christine, do you have questions for each other that someone said that you think should be elaborated on? And if not, that's okay too. So what I will do is after we're done with this, I will have a recording and that will go out to anyone who registered for the session. In addition to that recording, I'll have contact information from Christine, Tanisha, and April. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say that we had Tara Edmonds put her contact information in chat. So if anyone's looking for a partner at community schools, go to chat and you can find some information. But I'll send out a recording of this plus contact information. So if you have any questions, you can reach out. And I just want to say thank you so much to Christine, Tanisha, April, and for the, George for that interjection. I appreciated that as well. It was great hearing your insights and your perspectives, and thank you all for attending today.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I'm gonna guess there's no more questions. So Allison, feel free to end it.
Sounds good.
Thank
Thanks.
you all so much again.